CNN offices in Moscow raided by FSB Counterintelligence team. By Sorcha Faal, July 6, 2017. What does it mean.com. A terse but mostly classified FSB Urgent Action Bulletin circulating in the Kremlin today states that the sudden closing of Kutuzovsky Prospect between 7 and 9 this morning was due to a counterintelligence action, i.e. raid, against an American entity suspected of conducting subversive activities in violation of federal law, with the only U.S. company being located there being the global news organization CNN, whose Moscow office is located at Kutuzovsky Prospect 7/4, but that is much reduced from its 2014 staffing levels after it failed to adhere to Russian media laws. Participating in this action against this American entity were specialized members of the investigative committee SLEDCOM, which is important to note as they are the lead investigation agency into the money laundering crimes committed by former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and who a year ago, likewise, raided the Moscow office of PricewaterhouseCoopers, who are believed to have been Clinton's conduit for funneling illicit monies out of the Federation. Important to note about last year's raid, and as we reported in our 29 July 16 article, Moscow raid proves Hillary Clinton plot to destroy Boeing, ship 80,000 U.S. jobs overseas, was SLEDCOM stating in their report that, quote, PricewaterhouseCoopers is the largest professional financial services firm in the world and is one of what are called the Big Four auditors, along with Deloitte, EY, and KPMG, but had increasingly come under suspicion by Federation authorities after it was linked to the U.S.-based criminal organization known as the Clinton Foundation that has amassed a global empire of wealth estimated at $2 billion while paying virtually nothing in charity, and that this past week, July 2016, the U.S. Congress filed charges against, calling it corrupt and lawless. Though we are not able to ascertain many exact details from this FSB bulletin regarding their raid this morning on CNN offices in Moscow, we are able to find a SLEDCOM report filed last week with the Security Council identifying 2 former American CIA officers who had become investigative targets for their violating federal laws against subversion, the first being Robert Baer and the second being Jeremy Bash. Robert Baer, SLEDCOM noted in their report to the SC, works as an intelligence and security analyst for CNN, whom they claim is one of the most accomplished agents in CIA history, while Jeremy Bash is a senior national security analyst for NBC News and its cable division MSNBC, and whose wife Dana Bash, who is CNN's chief political correspondent, the FSB has previously identified as being a top CIA operative, and as we had detailed in our 24 March 17 article titled, CNN chief reporter Dana Bash revealed as top CIA spy targeting Trump. Important to understand is that unlike Russia, where intelligence operatives are forbidden by law to be employed by media organizations, nearly all Western media companies are nothing more than extensions of the CIA. And as noted last year by one of Germany's most respected journalists, Dr. Udo Ulfkot, who went on public television stating that he was forced to publish the works of intelligence agents under his own name, adding that non-compliance with these orders would result in him losing his job, and shockingly said, quote, I've been a journalist for about 25 years, and I was educated to lie, to betray, and not to tell the truth to the public. Most unfortunately for Dr. Udo Ulfkot, though, and as we detailed in our 18 January 17 article titled CIA-linked reporter summoned to meet Trump assassinated and his top aide poisoned too. He was assassinated just prior to his meeting President Donald Trump, where he was widely expected to reveal to America's new leader how the CIA was preparing to wage an all-out fake news media war against him. Among the worst purveyors of fake news to damage President Trump, like Dr. Udo Uthkot had warned about, is CNN, whose decades of past fake news propaganda has become legendary. Their present fake news stories about Trump continue to churn out by the day. They republish other fake news stories about Trump no matter how false they are. They have now begun threatening a young man for creating a video they didn't like that was used by Trump. Just today published a fake news quote about President Abraham Lincoln, and whose president, Jeff Zucker, is now reported to have rushed to the New York Times to defend him as his news network burns down. In light of the FSB and SLEDCOM raid on CNN's Moscow headquarters today, we also find it most interesting that just hours before this action, Russian ambassador to the U.S., Sergei Kislyak, stated that the U.S. will hardly give up on attempts to influence Russia's domestic political life, with his citing U.S. legislation as evidence and warning that, quote, it directly stipulates for the Secretary of State to develop the democratic administration, clarity, and so on in the Russian Federation. Quote, the list is long, Ambassador Kislyak further warned, with his stating, quote, by the way, this includes disseminating broadcasts with the support of the United States, and it has already been bankrolled, and thus explains the millions of dollars given by the U.S. government to CNN's parent company, Time Warner